greatness comes at a heavy cost, the lifelong sacrifice required to prepare yourself to bear the crown. Behind every title is a history of discipline, restraint, and unseen endurance. With greatness comes expectation, because to be called great is to inherit the responsibilities, to carry the projections of strangers, the ambitions of teachers, and the quiet hopes of those who believe they see something rare within you. When you fall short, the silence that follows can be louder than any applause. Failure under the weight of expectation does more than bruise ego. It demands a reckoning. It forces you to ask whether your pursuit was driven by the need for validation or by something deeper and more enduring. In that struggle, redemption becomes remedy. It is the antidote that realigns you with purpose. Falling short is not the end of greatness, it is its refinement. Then there's the quiet struggle, the one rarely acknowledged. The fight to preserve identity when the world has shifted its gaze elsewhere. To give everything, to climb step by step through discipline and sacrifice, to reach the top, only to find attention drifting in another direction. To stay at the throne and still feel underappreciated. In that moment, the quiet question changes. It is no longer about changing minds or winning applause. It becomes whether you can endure being great without recognition, whether you can find the confidence within yourself to continue forward without affirmation. That is where true greatness reveals itself, not in the praise, but in the persistence. Ryan Garcia stands as the last of the modern four kings yet to capture a major world title. He has fallen short not once, not twice, but 3 times in the pursuit of championship glory. Now Garcia receives a 4th opportunity as he challenges WBC welterweight world champion Mario Barrios. Since being elevated to full champion in 2024, Barrios has gone 0-2 in his last 2 outings, leaving questions surrounding his reign. Both fighters enter the bout in search of a defining victory. More than just a title hangs in the balance, so does their momentum and relevance in a historic division, a weight class long defined by greatness. Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios represents 2 distinct archetypes within modern boxing. Ryan Garcia is an explosive outboxer, counterpuncher, a fighter whose identity is built on speed, timing, and explosive fight-altering power. He is not a methodical round builder in the traditional sense, but instead a fighter who can shift the swing of a fight in an instant. Every exchange carries tension because Garcia fights with the constant threat of a lightning strike. At the core of his style is superior hand speed. Few fighters can match the velocity of his combinations, particularly his signature left hook when he throws with minimal telegraph and devastating snap. Whether delivered to the head or buried to the body, the punch arrives before the opponents can properly brace. Garcia's fast twitch explosiveness allows him to close distance in an instant, often striking with sharp, compact punches. Technically, Garcia operates best from out to mid-range, where he can work behind a snapping jab to draw reactions and counters. He often keeps his hands low, baiting opponents to commit before firing back with punishing counters. His right hand sets the table, but the left hook serves the meat. The bread and butter is in his controlled range for the outside. At his best, he commands the ring behind a long, authoritative jab that governs distance and dictates tempo. The lead hand is not just a rangefinder, it is his control mechanism, used to establish range, disrupt rhythm, and force opponents to operate on his terms behind his power. Garcia is not scared to commit, especially when his speed advantage is most pronounced in the first half of the fight, where he uses immediacy to seize momentum. When confident, he fights with rhythm and fluidity, stringing together quick 2 or 3 punch bursts before exiting. Ultimately, Garcia's style is defined by volatility and power. He is a fighter who can appear measured one moment and electrifying the next. His speed, timing, and explosive power make every second dangerous, turning even cautious exchanges into high-stakes affairs the instant he pulls the trigger. Mario Barrios is a rangy, pressure technician, a fighter who blends length, discipline, and steady volume to methodically break down opponents. Where explosive punchers rely on sudden moments, Barrios thrives on accumulation. His style is less about flash and more about control. rhythm, and physical imposition over time. Standing tall for a division at 6 feet, Barrios uses his height and reach as foundational tools. His jab is central to everything he does. It establishes range, breaks timing, and sets up his straight right hand. He prefers to fight long, keeping opponents at the end of his punches while gradually increasing output. Once he finds rhythm, he layers combinations behind that jab, forcing opponents to defend in sequence. Barrios is most effective when pressing forward behind structure. The focus is not on rushing, but instead inching into range, applying educated pressure. Barrios carries respectable power, but his real strength lies in sustained offense and durability. He is comfortable taking punches if it means maintaining forward momentum. His composure under fire allows him to remain disciplined even in competitive rounds. Conditioning is another hallmark of his style. Barrios maintains a steady pace and often grows stronger as fights progress. He prefers structured battles fought at a tempo he dictates to drag opponents into the deep end who cannot match his output. At his core, Barrios is a grinder with dimensions. He wins through persistence, balance, and tactical pressure, turning fights into measured contests of endurance and execution rather than explosive chaos. Every stylistic trait carries its own strengths and weaknesses. No approach is flawless, and no flaw is without potential advantage. It is the strategy and game planning that balance any level into the battlefield. Barrios is a well-rounded fighter. He can box, he can trade in the pocket, he's comfortable fighting off the back foot, and he's a proven, durable fighter. While he's well-rounded, he doesn't necessarily dominate in any single area. He's also been through several wars and has shown flaws in his defense, leading to taking a lot more clean punches than necessary. In this matchup, Ryan doesn't need to be perfect. He simply needs to lean into his strengths and apply them strategically, capitalizing on the areas where he holds a clear advantage over Barrios. For Mario Barrios, his main vulnerability is his defensive exposure under fire. He relies more on stability than evasion, which makes him an easy target to find, especially against a fast explosive puncher who can close the gap quickly, like Garcia. His high guard absorbs shots, but doesn't always eliminate them. And when pressured by explosive combinations, he can be caught before resetting his range. He's most effective when controlling distance, but when opponents disrupt his jab or force him into exchanges, his rhythm breaks. Garcia's strategy should be centered on speed and timing. He needs to take away Barrios' jab by showing threats of a counter or punch with him before Barrios can establish his range. Quick entries are crucial. Strike and pull Barrios into exchanges, denying him the ability to build volume. Take the body when Barrios squares up, and it will keep his guard pinned. Though Barrios is better technique, the gift of speed is on Ryan's side. He must keep his jab long and pumping, to then use his feints to set up his power. Most importantly, Garcia must take control and dictate the tempo early, capitalize on defensive openings, and avoid getting drawn into a slow, grounded fight where Barrios can fight comfortably from range and pick his shots. Ryan Garcia's biggest weaknesses come from his defensive structure and pacing. He relies heavily on reflexes and pullbacks behind a fragile Philly shell, which can leave him stagnant and his body exposed, especially under sustained pressure. He's most dangerous at mid to long range early in fights, but has shown little variation on the inside. When pushed back consistently, his offense can lose rhythm. If opponents survive the early rounds and keep him working, his output can dip. Garcia's most dangerous weapon, the left hook, is both his gift and his curse. When he establishes it, the threat never fades. Every exchange carries the possibility of a fight-altering moment. But if that punch is neutralized, his entire offensive structure begins to unravel. Without the hook dictating terms, the foundation of his attack loses its balance and potency. For Barrios, the strategy is in applying early pressure, stay disciplined, and control tempo. Garcia has been stopped once and dropped 3 times, and in his last fight against Romero, an early knockdown made him gun-shy for the remainder of the fight. With Barrios having shown a sturdy chin, he needs to take calculated risks in the early 3 rounds and land clean, authoritative shots that establish a real threat. Once he earns Garcia's respect, He could then dictate pace, manage distance, and systematically break him down. Barrios must command range with his long, governing jab, doubling and tripling it to disrupt Garcia's timing and deny counters. But the best defense for the left hook above all is deterrence. He must circle left, avoid overcommitting, and keeping the right hand glued to his face to deny any openings to the left hook. Educated pressure is key. Impose his will early, press forward with the jab behind the high guard, and avoid chaotic exchanges. Trigger Garcia's shell and take the body to slow Garcia's explosiveness and reduce his cardio. Ryan also has a very bad tendency of leaving too many openings as he throws punches without exiting. Barrios must take advantage of those moments and time Garcia after he lets off his combinations. If Barrios controls distance, varies tempo, and extends the fight, he can turn it into a structured battle of attrition rather than a speed-driven shootout. What makes this fight so compelling is the clear stylistic and intangible contrast between the two fighters. Barrios is fundamentally sound and well-rounded, but has yet to consistently display the kind of game-changing X-factor that can instantly shift momentum, while Garcia possesses the explosive speed and power capable of redefining a fight in a single exchange. The biggest question is which version of Garcia will show up, especially now that he has reunited with his father as his primary trainer. Will that change sharpen his discipline and elevate his overall game? Or will he look much the same as before? And even if Garcia performs at his usual level, can Barrios handle that speed and sudden explosiveness given the defensive vulnerabilities he has shown in the past? Questions also center on control, durability, and adaptability. Can Barrios consistently establish his jab and control range against one of the fastest hands in boxing? Or will Garcia's speed disrupt that structure before it settles? How will Garcia handle sustained pressure if Barrios takes the fight to him and work the body? Can Barrios take Garcia's explosive counters, particularly the left hook, without hesitation creeping into his offense? Will Garcia maintain composure and output if he doesn't find early success? Or does the fight become more difficult the longer it stretches? Conditioning, ring generalship, and who dictates tempo are pivotal variables. Ultimately, the fight hinges at Garcia's pace and short, high-speed bursts, or at Barrios' pace and a more controlled, grinding battle of range and accumulation. This fight hinges on what each fighter lacks. Although Barrios is well-balanced, his inconsistent defense creates openings that Ryan's speed and explosiveness are built to exploit. Ryan has demonstrated his abilities against taller fighters who leave the body exposed, especially to his signature left hook. And while Barrios has shown solid timing on his counters, he hasn't demonstrated the kind of power that forces opponents to hesitate or stay off him. Ryan doesn't need a perfect performance to win. He simply has to lean into his speed and power and repeatedly capitalize on Barrios' defensive lapse to turn that signal weakness into the deciding factor. Ryan Garcia by decision.